Hello, Steve White, Steve White 79. I'm here with a little cautionary tale. Now, um, just recently, well, not long ago, Disney launched Disney Plus, and it was supposed to be the repository of all their goodness, all their videos and everything, all their films, all their classic films, all the old TV series no one's seen for ages, or are relegated to um, the various channels. And a lot of people were celebrating. They were selling off their DVD collections, like, oh, I don't need this big, huge collection of DVDs and Blu-rays anymore. I'm free. I can just pay for my monthly um, streaming service. And I was like, oh, you idiots. And already they've started removing stuff from the platform. They removed the first two Home Alone films and some other kids' film, I think called Sandbox or Sandlot or something. So, yep, they've been up for about a month or maybe two, and I think two, and they already have removed something. So, people are pissed because it's like, I'm paying for this, so I have access to all of Disney's backlog, all of their movies, all everything, and I can't watch Home Alone. What the? So, now I myself started taping stuff off TV when I was a kid, and I used to tape all TV episodes. I'd put the credit sequence from a show at the start of the tape, and then I'd put all a bunch of episodes until I'd run out, and usually there'd be an odd amount of space at the end, and I'd put any interviews or TV specials or whatever on the end, and it was sort of, I was kind of ahead of my time making my own little DVD, like my little binge sessions, just like we have on streaming now. Um, and eventually I ended up with about, obviously I bought a lot of videos for retail. Was all I did when I was a kid was buy comics and videos. Um, and then I ended up with about 700 of them in the end. And DVD came along and Blu-ray came along, and I started buying DVDs and Blu-rays, and I started getting rid of my planning to get rid of my videos. I actually threw out about 700 of them. So then I went to DVD and Blu-ray. Um, and I had a brief moment where I actually threw out a lot of my DVDs because I thought I was going to convert them onto MP3, and then I realized that's kind of illegal. I think you can make one copy, um, but you can't make a backup because then you're transferring it to another medium. But if you make a backup of that, then you're copying that, so then you're making a copy. So you could duplicate them, but you can't back them up. So if you lose a hard drive, you lose it all. So I had to keep the discs anyway, so it kind of seemed a bit pointless to spend all the time copying all these DVDs to just have to keep the DVDs anyway. So I just ended up I had stacks of, I had like 3 or 4 bookshelves full of DVDs, most of them cases with 6 movies in one case, because I'd buy the 6 disc case and fill them up with different movies and just have like the main cover for my favorite movie, and it'd be like I'd have all my Piranha movies in one thing, or my Stephen King movies in a couple of them or something, and that was just my way of organizing stuff. So the point is I had tens of thousands of DVDs in the end. I had a huge library, and I realized its value. I didn't get rid of most. I got rid of a lot of ones I didn't care about that I knew I wouldn't rewatch or I could live without, and I basically put them all in those where are they, folders like this. So now I've just got all my DVDs are just in these, and they're all just stacked in under my TV and video. I figure anything I can fit under the length of the TV in a cabinet that big, so I don't like the TVs on the wall and stuff. I'm always going to have a TV video cabinet so I can like sit food on it in front of it when I'm like sitting in front of it watching it. So if I can fit it in there, I can keep it. So that's the limit of my collection now. If I can fit it in those in there, I get to keep it. And I'm glad I did that, because now all these people who throw out all their DVDs are at the mercy of Disney and the mercy of CBS or the mercy of Hulu or the mercy of Netflix or whoever, and they're streaming, because all these things rely on contracts and are time based and money based and popularity based and storage space based, and you never know how long something's going to be available. You never know what condition it's going to be, what version you're going to get. Like the original Buffy, I don't think is available. Now you get the HD Buffy, which they made a mess out of, where they converted into widescreen and didn't take into account that a lot of the shots were not designed to be cropped that way, and now you get booms and actors just stepping out of frame but not out of the scene. Scenes that were shot for night and they didn't put the filters in, so Angel's like walking around in the daylight and it's supposed to be moonlight and stuff like this. Just a mess. I don't want to watch that version. I want to watch the original Buffy, and I can because I have all 7 seasons on DVD. So fuck you. I'm very glad. I have all my Star Treks. I have every episode of the original Star Trek, Next Gen, all of them, all the movies, all on DVD and Blu-ray, although not Voyager and Deep Space Nine because they're not on Blu-ray. So I can watch them whenever I want. I don't have to worry, because something else that happened was, Netflix pulled Star Trek the Animated Series off its platform a while ago, and someone is losing Star Trek. Oh, damn, I've forgotten who it was. Was it Amazon? Someone who had Star Trek, they had access to the whole collection, was losing it, and now it was only going to be Netflix, or was it Netflix was losing it in America but not international? Either way, there's a whole audience that has been getting Star Trek through one of the streaming platforms who now won't have it. And that happened once before. I think Netflix lost Star Trek. They had it for ages. People were like used to it, got rid of their Blu-rays, got rid of their videos, and then they lost the rights because CBS wanted to put it on their platform, on their streaming service, and they realized they couldn't do it internationally. They didn't have the infrastructure for it, so they had to go back to Netflix, and then they gave Star Trek back to Netflix. So people went without Star Trek, and they got it back. I'm like, I don't want to be at the mercy of the streaming services. So I guess the moral of the story is hard copies are valuable. Keep them. Do not get rid of them. Convert them if you have to in some way, but do not, if you pay for, I'm talking about legally buying your own copies, if you pay for them and you own them, no one can take them away from you. You can watch them whenever you want. If the internet's down, if contracts are ended, it doesn't matter. You are independent. Do that. Because now there's a whole bunch of people complaining, I've lost home and away, I'm losing Star Trek. I'm like, okay, that's bad, because you are paying for a service with the assumption you're going to have access to things, and now you don't. That's not fair on you, but you could have kept your versions. And I know there's still people out there watching these videos. I found some people online. The Salem's Lot fan club on Facebook. There are some people in there who still have VCRs, and they prefer to watch the VCR version because they think it has more atmosphere than the Blu-ray or the DVD. So, all the power to them. They're enjoying it. Good for them. I have some DVDs and stuff that were cheap ones that people just put the videos onto DVD and then sold them like they were new print transfers when they weren't. And I kind of like some of them because it does feel like I'm watching the old versions that I grew up watching. That I also like to have the proper versions and the restored versions and the digital restored versions and the extended editions and all this. I'm all for multiple versions. I can watch whatever I want. It's fine. But yeah, this turned out to be a lot longer than I planned it to be. Basically, Disney already taking stuff off the platform. Other platforms have shown themselves to be inconsistent. Like Netflix had Friends and The Office. They're losing them to other platforms, and eventually you're going to be paying for 10 different services, and you're going to be paying as much as you were for cable back in the day. Because everyone was like, oh, we're free from cable, now we're streaming. Well, now streaming has found a way to make as much money out of you, and now everyone's going to have their streaming service, although it's kind of going to be like beta versus VHS and that sort of thing. The streaming wars, 1 or 2 streaming services will reign supreme while others will fail and die, because people are not going to pay for 10 different services and have to pay for every single service. They want to go back to the days where there's 1 or 2 services and everyone gives their content to those, and you just have to go to the one place, pay the one fee, and you have access to everything. That's what the customer wants. We will eventually get to that. We got to that through being tired of cable and having to pay for all the different channels and all the different networks. Long term, it's not going to last, but short term, it's going to be hell on the customers. I'm just glad I am independent. I have my own library of stuff. All the stuff I truly love, I have on Blu-ray or DVD, and I don't need a cable connection. I don't need anybody's anything. The only issue is when new content comes out, if it's not released on Blu-ray and DVD in the future, I will be at the mercy of the streaming services for new content. Fortunately, all the new stuff sucks, so there's not much coming along that I feel like I can't live without. So I'm just going to leave that there. Keep your DVDs, keep your Blu-rays, hell, keep your videos if you can find a VCR that works, and don't get rid of your hard copies, because you will be at the mercy of the contracts of the streaming services, and no one wants that. Okay, thanks. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Comments are fun. Let me know. I don't know. Sometimes I get a lot of comments. Sometimes people say nothing, but I'd love to know who still has VCRs and who still watches DVDs. I've been mocked for owning DVDs, and then I've kind of laughed at people who then were like, "Oh God, my favorite thing's missing from a streaming service." I'm like, "Oh, not so dumb now, am I?" Okay, thanks. See ya. Bye.